I've just received another briefing from a great group of talented people on the virus that is going around to various parts of the world. We have, through some very good early decisions that were actually ridiculed at the beginning, we closed up our borders to flights coming in from certain areas, areas that were hit by the coronavirus and hit pretty hard. And we did it very early. A lot of people thought we shouldn't have done it that early, and we did, and it turned out to be a very good thing. And the number one priority from our standpoint is the health and safety of the American people, and that's the way I viewed it when I made that decision. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. And we have the greatest experts in the world, really in the world, right here. The people that are called upon by other countries when things like this happen. We're ready to adapt, and we're ready to do whatever we have to as the disease spreads, if it spreads. As most of you know, the level that we've had in our country is very low, and those people are getting better, or we think that in almost all cases, the better are getting. We have a total of 15. We took in some from Japan. You heard about that, because they're American citizens and they're in quarantine, and they're getting better too. But we felt we had an obligation to do that. It could have been as many as 42, and we found that it was just an obligation we felt that we had. We could have left them, and that would have been very bad, I think, American people. I spoke with President Xi. We had a great talk. He's working very hard, I have to say. He's working very, very hard. But we're very, very ready for this, for anything, whether it's going to be a breakout of larger proportions or whether or not we're at that very low level. And we want to keep it that way. So we're at the low level. As they get better, we take them off the list, so that we're going to be pretty soon at only 5 people. And we could be at just 1 or 2 people over the next short period of time. So we've had very good luck.
But let's get more on this by crossing over to Jagriti Dave in Washington, D.C. with the very latest. Jagriti, give us an update on the situation. What else has been said so far?
So in this statement in the briefing room in the White House, the president really set out defending his administration's actions. He said that they'd made good decisions that stopped the spread of the virus in the U.S. And he said that he was ridiculed for some of those decisions, those early decisions to restrict travel to China, for example, was one of those decisions which he said that he'd been ridiculed for. People had questioned whether the actions like that, restricting travel, was wise, given that it wasn't WHO recommendations to restrict trade or travel at the time. He also announced the appointment of, he's not calling him the coronavirus czar, but Mike Pence, the vice president, is effectively leading the coronavirus task force, reporting directly to the president and coordinating the administration's nationwide actions in response to however the coronavirus develops in the United States. Now, Mike Pence, he spoke after the president made this announcement, and he said that his credentials as the governor of Indiana, which was the state where the first MERS case was called in 2014, that his experiences there at a local government level, state government level, gave him that experience, and his role will really be to coordinate with state and local officials on equipment, on testing, on a whole variety of issues, which he will then report back to the president on.
And Jagriti, he spent quite a bit of time, of course, referencing the amount of money it might take, and he couldn't help himself but politicize that and take a stab at the Democrats, and even mentioned that perhaps $2.5 billion might not be enough, and that the White House would take whatever money that they could get.
Yes, this whole this statement was very much the president reiterating that they had done the best job possible, but also reiterating that they're open to do more. And he said that whilst the White House administration had asked for $2.5 billion, he said, well, some Republicans want $4 billion, the Democrats want $8.5 billion for Congress to give to the White House. There have been criticisms ahead of the statement that the White House's response was not sufficient. It was bipartisan concerns that faced the that faced Alex Azar, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, as he was testifying to a House subcommittee. And there were questions that maybe the White House wasn't prepared enough because they'd asked for a sum that was so low. At the end there, you heard the criticisms from Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker, who said that the president didn't know what he was doing, to which, again, a very political issue that was raised by the reporter there, showing the continued bitterness between the Democrats and the president there. But yes, there are increased funds. The president did say that he was willing to take whatever Congress would give him, and he was willing to use whatever funds were appropriate to tackle the coronavirus. But he did say that at the moment, the risk was very low and that he didn't see this getting to the worst case scenario, which the president says that they are totally prepared for.